How do everybody? I'm back again after a week-long hiatus of being away, spending a little bit of time with my kids. It was lovely. Obviously, children always come first. But you know what? Here we are, and I'm going to get straight back into it. Got a couple of stories here. I mean, it's been an absolute week while I've been away. Loads has been happening. Um, I'm going to bundle a couple into this one video. I won't go through the full stories. I'll put all the links below. So if you want to read the full stories yourself, please do. Anyway, time to get angry at what's going on in the world. A judge ruled that a convicted Afghan sex offender should stay in the UK because his crimes meant he could face mob violence if he returned to his home country. Well, what a surprise. We're seeing judges and people in authority positions acting in what I believe to be a treasonous manner against this country because they are more interested in protecting foreign nonces than they are for looking after the people of this country. What a shock and surprise we have there. And guess what? There's going to be a theme with the next story. He's going to follow one very similar to this as well. Just does not surprise me. If you ever needed any evidence that these people in these positions hate this country and are more concerned with their own dopamine hits and feeding their own emotional state, it's rulings like this. And people say, "Oh, it's the politicians, it's Parliament." They are part of the problem. Don't get me wrong, but it's the lot of them. All the institutions, the heads of them, all these places, these are supposedly independent of Parliament. It's like with the heads of police, MPs, and even the Prime Minister can't tell the actual police how to do their day-to-day job, allegedly. Now, whether or not that is true, who knows what goes on behind closed doors and certain phone calls that may happen. Where, I mean, I'm only guessing here, but maybe whoever's in charge of the Home Office at whatever particular time may ring up a particular police officer and say, "You better do this, otherwise you're going to be looking for a new job." Who knows? But allegedly, they are all independent of each other. But you know what? They all do these weird, crazy things which are always in the interest of foreign criminals and nonces and never seem to work in the favour of us, the British people, especially the indigenous population. They seem to have a real penchant for spitting on us, metaphorically. And if you don't believe me, look at the history of the grooming gangs and how those girls and their families were arrested and called racists for reporting those crimes. And how those crimes were covered up not only by the police but also by social workers, counsellors, I believe MPs as well, although I don't think there's enough evidence to say that with what you would call, to me, a legal threshold. But I don't think it's beyond believable. So anyway, an immigration tribunal judge awarded the 31-year-old offender refugee status after agreeing with lawyers that his mental illness meant he would likely offend again. What's his mental illness? Being a nonce. Something that would expose him to ill treatment if he was deported to Afghanistan. Well, I couldn't care less if he gets ill treated. Secondly, he's obviously not been ill treated before he came here. He's obviously from Afghanistan originally, so he's obviously lived in Afghanistan and not been lynched. So what is the problem? Send him back. Why do we have to deal with these people? The Telegraph reports that the asylum seeker, named only as DH, was jailed for 12 weeks in 2017 by a central London magistrates court for outraging public decency and exposure. He was considered to have met the criteria for deportation as a threat to the public, but appealed on the grounds of deteriorating mental health. Isn't it a coincidence that how they always have these really, really good excuses like, "Oh, I've converted to Christianity. Oh, I've got deteriorating mental health. Oh, I think they're going to persecute me because I'm from such and such a tribe." And our courts just lap it all up, don't they? They eat it up like a bag of sweets. "Oh, so poor, you poor people." Winds me up. These people, shove them on a boat, shove them on a plane, get rid. Could not care less. Coming here is a privilege, not a right. And staying here is also a privilege, not a right. Fit in or F off. Lawyers argued that his mental illness created a strong likelihood of sexually disinherited behaviour that in Afghanistan would lead to serious harm, and that his mental health is very likely to deteriorate if he were returned. So we've got to put up with him. So we've now got to medicate him, and we've got to pay for him, and we've got to have to put him in a house, and we're going to have to feed him and clothe him, and everything else that comes out of him. He's going to get to retirement age, and then he's going to have to get looked after in retirement age. So he's another burden on this country, just like so many others are. Absolutely winds me up. I'm not going to continue with that. Oh, actually, one second. Home Office Minister Laura Farris has pledged to investigate the case. She told Sky News that it is absolutely right that the public expect all foreign offenders to be deported when their sentences are completed. Yeah, but they're not, are they? This is the problem with these people. They talk a tough talk. When it actually comes down to it, they're all fart and no poo. And that's the problem. They've had 14 years to put laws into place to be able to get rid of these people. And what have they done? Just danced around the edges and played linguistic games and delivered zero. They're pathetic. The Conservative Party are absolutely pathetic. They have absolutely no interest in dealing with this. Because if they did want to deal with it, they'd deal with it. They'd get it done. Because when they were trying to frustrate Brexit, oh my goodness, you couldn't get them out of the Houses of Parliament for that, could you? They were in there till like 11 o'clock every night trying to block that. Same with the House of Lords and the courts. The lot of them were at it. So when they want to do something, oh, by Christ, you better believe they can absolutely get to it. They do not want to deal with this. Otherwise, they would actually deal with it. Anyway, next story, which links into this. Anger as child rapist wins 10-year asylum battle to avoid deportation to Eritrea and stay in the UK in one of more than 360 immigration rulings made in February and March. There you go. What a perfect summary of the fact that they don't want to actually deal with this because they prefer to have it in the headlines so that they can talk about it and go, oh, look at these courts and how bad they are. Oh, look at the Labour Party supporting all of this. Aren't these terrible people? It gives them the ammunition so they can talk that crap rather than just dealing with it because they're weak. Because they care about what people at the dinner parties in London are going to say. Oh, you're a bit of a racist, aren't you? Oh, you're a bit of a Nazi, aren't you? Oh, isn't it terrible? You're a horrible person for wanting to deport that rapist, that child rapist. Oh, you're a bit of a nasty Nazi, mate, for wanting to do that. Pathetic. Weak people who care too much what others think. Here we go. Judges ruled. I mean, the fact that judges have ruled on this as well tells you, in my opinion, that then judges are traitors and they should be facing not only disciplinary, I think they should be facing the gallows. I genuinely believe that they should be for these sorts of rulings. It's beyond dereliction of duty. It is high treason. I do believe it's high treason what these judges are, and the lawyers, and the NGOs, and everybody else who's involved with this. A lot of them should be all dragged into a high treason case for this, and they should be. And if found guilty, they should be hung. Judges ruled that deporting the rapist to Eritrea, East Africa, would breach his human rights because he had previously dodged military conscription and was at risk of being... So because he was a criminal and dodged conscription in his country, we can't send him back to face justice in his own country. So we've now got to put up with a paedophile in this country because he's a criminal in his home country as well. And we're not allowed to send him back there because he'll have to go... So he's allowed to go to court in the UK and face justice here. But oh, God forbid he should go back to his home country and face justice there for committing a crime of dodging the draft in his own country. My goodness. What the hell is going through these judges' heads with this? I'm going to swear then. I don't like swearing in my videos. It's absolutely infuriating. Because he's at risk of being punished every time. God, so he should be bloody punished. So he absolutely should be punished. He should be shot for what he's done. The man's a nonce. And he's also a draft dodger as well. Now, you can say what you want about the draft, about conscription, but at the end of the day, if it's the law, and you've got to fit. Now, if they bring conscription into this country, I won't be getting conscripted, but I will face the music. I won't try and dodge the punishment. I'm willing to take the punishment. And that's the difference between me and him. This is the problem. We are not importing the best in the world. We're importing the world's worst. And when you import the third world, you get the third world. As we're starting to see in the centres of our cities, where they're turning into absolute S-tips. We just litter everywhere and rubbish and rats. Because it looks just like downtown New Delhi. In fact, I might put a video of that onto this so you can see for yourself. No, I'll put the link into it so you can watch it yourself on Twitter where I found it. But again, I'll put the link into this article as well so you can read the whole thing. Just absolute. There's a couple of bullet points here as well from other people. Jamaican drug dealer who's been deported from the UK 3 times, only to then repeatedly sneak back into the country, has won his bid to stay. What a surprise. There you go. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again, because that man did, and he's now allowed to stay. An alleged crime boss accused by the Indian government of money laundering won his appeal against the Home Office decision to deny him asylum. A Jamaican woman twice convicted of possession of drugs with intent to supply is still fighting deportation 22 years after she entered the UK. And here's the last one of these bullet points. An Italian drug dealer won an appeal against deportation despite being described as having operational control of a telephone line used to supply Class A drugs. We are an absolute joke of a country. We're not a serious country. And this last story, which I have done a video on this before, but I'll briefly discuss it now. It's because of people like this in this story, and I'll put the link below so you can read the full story. Outrage as BBC editor paid to help gang rapist avoid being deported to Somalia. So this was from November last year. A BBC editor has prompted fury after she was hired to help a gang rapist, Yakud Ahmed, avoid deportation to Somalia. BBC Africa editor Mary Harper, 58, was taken on as an expert witness in an immigration trial of Yaqub Ahmed, who had been jailed for 9 years, along with 3 others for his role of a gang rape of a 16-year-old girl in London. We actually have these people in these positions. This is what I'm saying about it. It's all of them. All of these highly paid people who've, and the link is they've all been to university. Or that tends to be the link. Now, I'm not saying all university people are like this, but this is the thing with it. They've all been to university. They all frequent the same sort of gathering circles. They've all received very similar educations. They've all been brainwashed with the same crap. And these people are committed to flooding this country with the worst that the world has to offer. And they will bend over backwards to keep them in this country. It absolutely beggars belief what's happening. You just can't make this crap up. But this is what I'm saying about it. It's all the institutions, not just politicians. Like I say, I'll link that story below. Please read the full article. I'll try and find the link for the video that I did on it so you can watch it yourself if you want on what I had to say for it there. Just absolute madness. I mean, I'm going on for now nearly 12 minutes. I'm going to leave it at that. Just absolutely mind-boggling how much these people hate this country and how they are absolutely trashing the country with the trash of the world. The world's dregs are being brought here and kept here, and they are dragging us down as a society, and it's got to stop. It really, really does. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. If you've found that informative or useful, or that's information for you that you can make use of, please do like, subscribe. Definitely put a comment below whether you agree with me or not. I love reading your replies, and I do love replying to people as well. Thank you. Bye bye.